This is Wandering Universe. In this video, I'll be exploring something out of the ordinary that is not normally told through mainstream documentaries. I'll be exploring the construction techniques that were used to build Petra. So, let's go exploring. Now, as you can see, this is the map of the Middle East. Can you guess where Petra is? Go on, take a good look. It's in between Israel and Jordan, somewhere near the Dead Sea from Jerusalem and the capital of Jordan, Amman. So, let's get to business. Building construction goes a long way to the time when us humans used materials that were provided by nature to build shelters to keep us dry, safe, and warm at night. Today, us humans have cultivated a variety of useful and complex methods of constructing bigger and better buildings than our previous ancestors. By exploring nature's materials, turning them into an industrial factory assembly line using a neat invention, concrete. Before I dive right into the brilliant construction methods utilized on the mountain walls of Petra, I'm going to give you a very brief look into the history of concrete. Concrete is actually a recent invention, but derivations of the concept date back to around 6,000 years ago, when us humans went on a hunt in search of more reliable materials to build bigger and better shelters to showcase our egos to the world. We finally came across something that worked wonders: clay brick cementing. Clay brick was a very unusual element that required a lot of manpower and time-consuming labour to build well-insulated huts to keep us dry at night. Then we got bored of smelling the mud fumigating from the clay bricks and decided to go one step further: sandstone and limestone concrete construction. China was the leading contender in concrete construction, using stone to outmaneuver Rome by showcasing their monstrous Great Dividing Wall to the world. This began in 3000 BC. Around the same time, Rome was competing for bigger and better building construction methods, but they were outsmarted by the Chinese. But it wasn't until 600 BC Rome got all fired up and began to use this marvel invention: concrete. Whether the tyrannical, zealous emperor knew the Chinese was getting the better of him or whatever was on his bored mind, he probably set out master stonemasons to go in search of creating a hard-wearing stone block. And they did. As you can see in this photograph, they found volcanic ash, lime and seawater to form the mix, and alas, concrete construction on an industrial scale made Rome the elite construction builders of its time. And all thanks to this dude, Roman dictator Marcus Claudius Galicia, 250 BC. But wait, something happened during the rise and fall of their empire. What could it be? Were the emperor's egos got caught in a knot and let it be the judge of his own thoughts? Bad call. The moment the empire said its final hurrah, this marvel invention was suddenly lost after 476 AD. What happened? It wasn't until around 1414 that a secret recipe was found in some concealed document in some hidden treasure chest. But it wasn't widely used nor raved on about. It just fell on deaf ears. No one was interested. Then along came a fine dandy gentleman by the name of John Smeaton in 1793. He had an idea to create something ingenious for the world to brag about: a lighthouse. But it was no easy task. He spent days, weeks, months, even years working out how on earth he was going to build this damn building. Well, after a light bulb moment, he discovered a modern approach to making cement. The recipe was a cinch. He rolled up his sleeves and fired up the kiln. He got out his steel bucket and got to work using materials of limestone and clay, mixed it together, put it in the oven for a few hundred degrees until it clinkered, and then grounded it into a fine powder. Voila! He was full of pride and joy, like seeing a newborn calf, and he got to work using that to build the Eddystone Lighthouse in Cornwall, England. But Mr. Smeaton wasn't the only one who got the ball rolling on this concept. Another dandy gentleman by the name of Mr. Joseph Aston invented cement by burning ground chalk and clay until the carbon dioxide was removed. Then another fine fellow in the 19th century came along and took it one step further. Francois Cordonnier, by adding steel rods into the cemented concrete interior and called it reinforced concrete. And from there, the concrete construction revolution was born, and it made many property developers incredibly rich. Now, you must be wondering, why on earth I'm narrating this boring subject? I didn't make this video for light-hearted entertainment. I'm telling you an important story so I can get to the point about the construction of Petra. Petra was not built in a day, unlike Rome. All right, boring bits aside, let's get to business. Petra, as you know, is the jewel of the crown when it comes to wall construction. From what we've been told by the you-know-who, that it was the Nabateans who first discovered cement around 6500 BC. The traders got the recipe from someone or from somewhere on how to mix limestone, clay and other materials together to form one solid sandstone block. Around 3000 BC, Egypt was busy building the pyramids, and it's rumoured that 500,000 tons, yes, that much, of mortar was used to slab on the sides of each stone block. Could you believe it? Really? Even the Chinese were getting ahead of themselves when news travelled fast. That's they too wanted to be ahead of the game, to be up for the Golden Crown title of wall construction by building this great monstrosity of a wall from the southern border all the way over to the other side of China. Until this day, no one truly knows why on earth they built such a massive wall. I mean, who were they trying to barricade themselves from? I believe it was built out of ego and paranoia. Europe began crafting their stone masonry skills from 1000 AD. Sure, the art of stone masonry began around 6000 years ago, but as I ploughed through photo after photo of this majestic ruin, something caught my attention. It wasn't how, it was the way it was constructed. For example, the treasury, as you can see in front of you. Notice how smooth and rounded the columns are. Notice the roof arcs, as I call them, are angled perfectly at 45 degrees. Here, and here, and here, at the top of the front entrance. The articulate approach to detailed fine art, carved and sculptured along the edge of the arcs, ? That's meticulously done not by a human hand, no, but by a machine. And notice how there are builder's marks. I'll show you. Right here along this wall, this part and this part of the wall, they look like square chickenpox marks, but alongside the outer edge of the wall. It was probably, and I'm assuming, even though it turns to shit, but I'm just guessing, it was probably a very long piece of stone block removed on each side, done by a machine to create space to carve and sculpture the artwork along the architraves from the top to the middle, but not to the bottom. Your eyes can spot the difference between precise drilling, as you can see here, and chiseling, and our sloppy human handiwork right here. Here and here. There's chiseling marks right there. Obviously, it was done by a human. There was obviously a human attempt at mastering the artwork, as you can see right here, and it was no match for its beautiful artistry. This meticulous work wasn't an overnight success attempt. It would have taken centuries to master this kind of state-of-the-art stonemasonry. If you compared this with Tibet, Greece, Persia, Roman, Russian, and many more. This photo here is the outside of the monastery. If you take a closer look at the precise chiseling on the outer surface of the pillars, right at the top there, and also on the 45-degree angle architrave, as you can see there, it used some kind of precise method of engineering, something like a stone laser cutting tool or machine, something like this one, as you can see here. Don't fret, this is just a hypothesis. And check out this device. A levitation device like this one. This one uses magnetics to lift things, as you can see. Can you imagine how high-powered their devices were to lift each stone block and place them precisely on top of one another, say like that of Giza Pyramid? Have you noticed that most of Petra's fashionable flair for the fantastic has been franchised around the circumference of the equator? This is no accident. It was done on purpose. Whoever created them knew what they were doing and an affordable means of engineering this type of project. The artistic integrity goes a very long way since the invention of the wheel. I also came across the entrance of the supposed monastery, even though it was for an entirely different use, the architectural design. I've seen this type of design on other structures like the elaborate red carpet entrance of the Roman Parthenon, the majestic, glorifying Russian church built by the East Slavs around 1000 years ago, and this interesting Greek column found in Cyprus. Doesn't this tell you something? For some logical reason, it's obvious that this artistic architecture formed in Petra travelled outside the continent, selling its flair for the romantic like Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. I had to dive right in, researching further into the correlation of its interesting geometry. Have a look at that right before you. Perfect angles, round circles, smooth dots, curves, grooves, and straight lines. Whatever highly advanced instruments were used to manufacture these incredible structures was done by a technology that is unheard of today. On this one, this one, this one, and plenty more. Would you think for one whole minute that us humans were capable of doing all the above using only this? Crikey, where did it all go wrong? I mean, what happened? Hunger, famine, disease, plagued by the tyrants of history's erroneous past? Do you get the idea? No way, according to these marvel engineered structures, that it was built by us. Not with primitive techniques, tools and machinery that we only have barely scratched the surface on precision engineering. Sure, we have come a long way over the last 10,000 years since the invention of farming, but why hasn't it taken so long to get to where we are today? The feat of perfection was not done by human labour. It's taken several thousand years for the artistique de résistance stonemasoner to master its craft. Still scratching your head over this? You see this? Right in front of you, these perfectly still columns that haven't yet fallen over from seismic activity ? Have a good look in between each gap of each sandstone block. Have you noticed something? There is no mortar. No mortar required to glue them together. And check out this one. See that? Same with this one. There is no sign or evidence of cement, mortar embedded on each stone block. So what does this tell you? It means cement wasn't yet discovered by the Nabateans, even though they experimented with it on a small scale. Not even the Egyptian pyramids show one sign of a cement placed in between the gaps of the limestone blocks. Feeling flabbergasted? Don't be, because what you see is what you get. I can tell you right now, concrete construction didn't occur on a massive scale until it landed on the dirty Roman hands. After that, cement and concrete began history. Oh wait, that ingenious invention just suddenly got lost through the space of time after the empire fell. Then it fell into the hands of a humble-minded engineer to build this. Sure, us humans have learnt a great deal about modern construction techniques to utilise our time wisely for affordable construction methods that give us the safety net we're all yearning to hold and to cherish. But not forever. Petra was uniquely constructed to suit the needs of the pre-ancients, the beings before us who settled upon here during the Ice Age. Yes, we're talking about more than 12,500 years ago. As complex as it looks, they knew exactly what they were doing because they've done this type of wall construction 1,000 times before, way before we even picked up the first branch to set up housing. What I'm saying is our modern construction methods such as cement, concrete slabs, concrete walls, reinforced concrete, mortar, stone block production, smelting steel, cladding, stone masonry, and the list goes on, was all done in Petra way before we discovered their methods. Now, I'm not saying that they used our modern construction techniques back then. Maybe they did. But they certainly didn't lose their knack for stone masonry way before we picked up a hammer and chisel. As I said earlier, these pre-ancients did all the work in a cheap and affordable manner that greatly surpasses our human labour building construction. We still need human labour to carry the load, as these machines don't really cut it when it comes to saving costs and time-consuming labour. These incredible buildings at Petra needed neither. This type of artwork is one of a kind, and the style was franchised across the 21 other megalithic structures. That means this unique artwork of precision engineering was a trailblazer for others to follow, like this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, yes, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and many, many more. Criticize me all you like. The evidence is in the pudding. After ploughing through the internet doing my archaeological digging, amateur style, it began to hit me when I realised there is no supporting evidence whatsoever of any kind on any stone stele, stone wall, papyrus, thingamajig artifacts, or organic remains that do name and describe who built Petra. No mention of an architect, property developer, engineer, town planner, etc, etc. Fuck all we know. It could have been Robin Hood and his merry men. And besides, fuck knows where the actual quarry site is. About 50 to 55 kilometres away from Petra. But that doesn't spell it was us that built it. The truth of the matter is, we don't know who actually built Petra, and there's no blueprint for it whatsoever. Good luck in finding one. As a complex yet beautiful structure, it may be we will never know who built the place. If we did have the blueprint 12,500 years ago, our building construction methods are still flawed in detailed fine art. We were just hunter-gatherers, learning as we go, building temporary accommodation from tree and animal materials. Do you understand how freaking cold the Ice Age was? Cement was not a lost technology. It just wasn't passed down, leaving us a painful task of finally discovering it thousands of years later. If we had known about cement prior to the last Ice Age, we wouldn't be using it today, but using something far more robust, advanced, and nano-produced. So stop beating about the bush. We just didn't know about it until 12,500 years later. So what went wrong? I'll be doing a series of videos exploring the hidden and mysterious surprises of Petra. Yes, I have figured out exactly what type of city it was, how it operated, and it's not what you think. That's all for now.